From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicky Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. And our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team. Dominating with Dawson.
Hate working on cars.
All right. You guys ready for plan 3?
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
What?
yeah.
What do you want?
There is a plan B,
What?
but a plan 3 sounds better.
Well, this is the third dominating with Dawson. So this is plan 3.
I like
All
that.
right.
That's right. We're going to get 3 at least done tonight.
Yeah.
Depends on how tolerant Ben is of us.
I'm good.
Ben, how are
Hey.
them babies?
Loud, labor intensive, lovely. All else today.
You need to get to the track so you can rest, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
When are they getting in go-karts?
Ooh. Pretty soon. I had a go-kart when I was a little kid, maybe another couple of years. When I was racing karts, I got my start in competitive racing in karts. There were kids out there racing kid karts, 3 years old, like with little Comer 2-stroke engines. I was like, wow. I was like, dad goals right there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's starts
Sounds-
that young in karting.
Sounds like Ben's getting back into
Yeah.
karting soon.
Good.
Oh gosh.
I know a guy.
You know, I'm going
I
to try
know
to keep
that.
Alex. I'm going to try to keep Alex online here. All right. So pretend that we're talking about karting or racing.
Okay.
We're going on a track. There was a couple different threads out on the Facebook and the Instagram with the team saying, what tire pressure should I use? That was the question.
That was today.
You know
wasn't
what? That was the issue that I was having when I was at NJMP.
Yeah, trust me, you had issues at NJMP.
I did. So Ben,
Mhm.
tire pressures for me. It was a very cold morning that would lead into a slightly warmer afternoon on a warm track. And I didn't really
Correct.
know exactly where to set my tires for
Gotcha.
that.
So what pressure
How
should
cold?
you use, Ben?
Hold on. What tires were you using?
Yeah. A lot of questions. A lot of questions here.
$5
I
says she
think
doesn't
I
know.
had the hand kooks on.
The RS4s. Okay. What size?
Eh,
Nope.
Were they
Ooh,
not?
ow,
Were
ow.
they the Tarks, whatever they were?
Aztarks, Azenas,
Aztarks?
maybe.
Azenas? Yes,
Hold
they're
on.
Azenas.
The Chronicles of Narnia called. They want the Aztarks back.
Yes. The Azenas.
You know what
Were
you
they
sound
Zenas?
Falcons?
when
Zenas?
you
Yes.
don't know your tires, you sound like an Aztark, but that's a different story.
Ah! Oh, good one.
Listen.
You guys are just
Oh.
full of it.
This-
Like seriously full of it.
This might be the new social media thing for me. How do you spell that? Because I might need to put that. one up there.
Azena?
No.
Azenas.
Aztarks.
Azenas.
We'll do Aztarks later, Alex. Stay with
Okay.
us. Stay with us. Come
Okay.
back. Come back. This is why
Um,
Alex is only a guest every now and then.
Tire size.
Um,
$5 says she doesn't know that either.
I bet.
17s,
Oh,
two
yeah.
Wrong.
I bet
45s.
245s on that. Yeah, 245.
They're 245s.
Yeah, that's great, except that's the wrong car. That's the
Yeah,
BMW.
from-
Okay, well, you
Right.
know what? We
205
just have so many cars that I don't know
This is-
which tires go to which. How about that?
No way. No
205,
way.
205
Figured it out.
15s. 205 15s.
Mine are
205.
mine are
Damn it.
205s.
205 50 by 15s.
Which
Yes.
cars? Is this on the 90s? The 99 Miata?
99 Miata, yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
you're
okay.
running a 15-inch wide rim. Is it 7.5, 8-inch rim?
7, I bet.
I think it's
Okay.
7.5.
7.5.
Whoa.
I actually don't
Okay.
know.
So what
Okay.
was the-
But
So what's the pressure? Tell me the
Yeah, what was
pressure.
What was the cold pressure?
32?
What was
32.
the cold pressure?
32.
Well, this is what I'm asking.
Right.
See, everybody
Did
wants
you
to
measure
know.
your tire
I don't
pressure
know.
to
There's
begin
so
with?
many people talking at one time. Everybody's getting their word in. Everybody's manning in.
No. Get it right. We're womaning into this one. All right. Listen.
All right.
I'm just
Bill, you
I'm just
know the
trying to lean
tire
in.
sizes. Go ahead, put the tire size out.
Hey, we just did. But
Okay.
the thing is, you can't just ask somebody what pressure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
There's tire compound. There's the size of the tire. There's the size of the rim. There's how much actual volume that it can take into. There's temperature outside. There's humidity.
How hard you
changing
drive.
weather, whether there's sun on the track or not. It all changes the dynamic
And
of
this is
how the
why
tire
I'm asking
reacts.
the question. So my standard rate or my standard base, I
Mhm.
believe, is 32.
Gotcha. So we're starting the day out on 32 pounds in the tires.
Cold.
Cold.
Ugh.
Well, right. But some of this discussion has to go back to our buddies on the internet, right? Like,
Yes.
how do you find your target hot pressure? At least for me, I always build some kind of consensus. Like, if I'm running a tire I don't know, or trying to find out, what is the desired hot pressure. It's kind of the big starting point, and that kind of gives you what you're aiming toward with your cold pressures. And definitely all of the kind of minutia that we talked about factors into it, the size of the rim, the tire compound, but ultimately you kind of get this one number, and that's kind of what I'm reverse engineering my approach towards this. I'm trying to get all my tires this hot, which is, I hate to say this, but I mean, I go on the internet and I just kind of find a consensus amount of enough people who sound credible and who are driving that stuff that's similar to what I have. But if I find 10 responses on forums from people who are obviously not idiots saying, hey, these tires like 38 hot, whatever the tire is, that's just an example. But then I got a couple outliers like, man, I like them like low 30s, but this, if I get enough people kind of head in one direction, I'm going to kind of go that way and see if it feels like it's working for my car. But it kind of gives me a bellwether, a benchmark for maybe to start trying. So I've also, over the years, I think I've gotten pretty good at sifting through internet bullshit and trying to figure out, like, this guy's an idiot, this person isn't. A lot of times you can even trace it down to credible racers who you might know their name or something like that. So it might be people who you can recognize who are spouting off about this. Another great resource is a guy named Andy Hollis, who does all the, I think, tire racks, tire testing, and all over the place. But if you can ever find Andy Hollis, search Andy Hollis and the name of your tire, you're also going to get some good information about how that tire works. I'm getting lots of thumbs up from Alex. He's also a smart, experienced racer. So there, you just found internet consensus just now about one thing. This guy, Andy Hollis, ANDY HOLLIS. Look that dude up for some great info on tires.
Not only that, but the amount of generations that he's put that CRX through on the one lap of America. Oh my God. Oh,
yeah, it's crazy.
He's had every Honda engine in there and everything. Oh, it's beautiful. But then that
pretend we're talking about tire pressure and tire temperature, please.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
All right, very well.
So that guy's a great source of context for whatever you're trying to figure out about your own tires. So I'm just ultimately trying to work my way toward a hot pressure number. So then, if you were there at NJMP and the day started out 28 degrees and was going to get to like 40 degrees, then you're probably going to start with a little more than you would on a hot day, because you're not going to add as much pressure to the tire on an ambient colder day like that. If you're running out in the 90s, in the 80s and the 90s, the tire is going to grow more pressure than it will. So you're not likely to add as much heat as you would on a hot day. So that right there, if you're aiming for 38 hot, and you're probably not the person out there who's loading up the tire the most, you're relatively intermediate driver. I'd probably start, if I wanted 38 hot on a really cold day, I'd start 34 all around to kind of see what I got. If I was overshooting it, you can always bleed some pressure out. But that's kind of what I'm looking at when I'm trying to set my tire pressures. I'm just looking for one big number, try to hit that number with my car, see if it feels good. If it doesn't, kind of adjust from there. But that's sort of how I'd like to do it. And I would always rather start a little high on pressure. And, if I need to come in after the first stint of an endurance race and bleed some off, it's a little easier than trying to add a little bit.
So let's take a couple steps back. So the purpose of the pressure is to make sure that the tire doesn't roll off the rim and you get a good contact patch on the track, right?
Right. Or conversely, that you don't have too much air and you're not just riding on the ground all the time.
Right.
So do tires roll off the rim?
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
It did happen.
Yes.
We're not going to revisit that incident.
Nope. So
Wow.
Not going to revisit that incident.
So you need to have enough pressure that your tire stays on the rim. That's always beneficial.
Sure.
Especially when you're
For
taking
safety.
out your sister-in-law who is on her first ever time on the track.
As a passenger.
As a passenger, just showing her, taking a nice casual and literally 5 seconds saying, oh, the tires are finally warm. We can go a little faster now, and whoop, off the track. Anyway,
But
so
trust me, this is great. Trust me, you're going to love this.
yeah, this is awesome. We should do this
There's
more
a
often.
story here.
Yeah.
It's a great
So-
story.
So one thing that you can start with as a first approximation is if you open up your driver door and you look inside the door, you've got this little manufacturer recommended pressure
Yeah.
That's on the
Which-
door jamb.
in
Yes.
the door jamb. Not
Door jamba.
that is not where you typically want to start when you go on track, but it gives you something you should be plus or minus close to it. But if you have no idea and you have no friends in the paddock yet, you don't want to go too far away from that, and you want to get there. Alex is unhappy with my situation. Go ahead, Alex.
There is the people that look at that label and see maximum pressure at, say, 52 psi. And what do they do at gas stations? Fill it up to 52 psi. There
Not
is
on the wheel, on the door.
no, I'm saying on the door. They have the
They should-
maximum inflation. I'm just using 52 psi as a rough estimate.
Right.
Okay.
Whether it's 44 or 34 or 24, they look at that max pressure and they put it in there because they don't know.
Well, what should we
Right.
do?
Well, I have a suggestion.
Okay.
I like to go by the Dr. Hunter S. Thompson method from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, where I would like to put 65 pounds on each wheel and let it rip. I'm sorry, not on the racetrack. I just mean riding around town. That's how you get around.
See,
Okay.
where you're at with the Hunter S. Thompson, I'm with the Douglas Adams and the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I just put
Gotcha.
a towel on my back and just say Sunday.
Okay.
There we go. If you got
Yeah.
your towel, you can do anything.
Exactly.
Okay.
Bill's going crazy.
So I'm gonna herd these sheep if it kills me. I feel like I'm racing at Sonoma. Okay, so the goal would be, the output of the goal would be to have the tire uniform pressure
Mhm.
on the track as you're driving, which would lead to a uniform temperature across the entire tread of the track.
Shoulder to shoulder, baby.
Close. You don't want it to be low in the middle, high on the edges. That means your pressure is too low, and you don't want it to be high in the middle, low on the edges, which means your pressure is too high.
Correct.
Now,
Right.
the great thing about that is most people don't have the ability to tell what their tire temperature is as they're driving on track. So you can do it probably the Ben Dawson way, which is just feel it and know, and then adjust as you need, or just drive around it,
Or
Right.
do it the
Sorry.
Bill way.
or do it the Bill way and actually, do tire temperature testing with a barometer or ideally a thermocouple and figure it out. However,
Right.
we had Danny Van Dongen on the podcast I guess it's a year or more than a year ago. And we used the Hankook RS4s. And he told us what the operating temperature pressure should be to get the best performance out of the RS4s. And it depended on the car weight. So for the heavier cars, for the RS4s, he said it was somewhere in the 35, 36, 37 is where you want it to be hot. And 32, maybe plus or minus 1 or 2, if it's a lightweight Miata. So you got to figure out that as you're driving, it depends on your drivers. If you're going to drive really aggressively, really hard, like Alex or Ben, you're going to put more force into the driving. You're going to build up more heat. You're going to build up more pressure than say,
You start lower.
so you're going to start a little lower because you're going to put more heat, which makes the air expand, than say somebody who's at their first HPDE, and Vicky's going to be somewhere in between. So it really depends on your different drivers as well. It's a very complicated thing. So if you ever walk up to somebody and say, hey, what pressure should I run? You're probably not sounding extremely intelligent by asking that question. You can say, what pressure do you run? But it's very difficult to just give you an answer, I guess is the summary.
So
That checks out.
That definitely checks out. So what tire pressure should you run? If you run a lightweight Miata, especially if it's a 1.6,
Mhm.
run 15x9s, run 225, 45, 15s from Hankook RS4s. Put the cold pressure at 23 PSI. You're aiming for 30 to 31 PSI hot.
32 max
No,
in a Miata. Now you got to figure out what kind of starting pressure you have, because again, if the track is very cold or the track is very hot or the track is wet or you're not comfortable on that track, or if the track is all right hand turns with one left hand turn like Lime Rock, that's going to be a little different because you're only going to be loading up one side of the car most of the time versus the other. So you've got a lot of variables that you have to take into. So it's not a simple pick a number, that's the number, and just do it. And essentially don't do it for every single track. They're not going to be the same number.
Yeah, no, it's never the same. Everything's always changing. Weather patterns make it that way and everything. Your cold start one day is different from your cold start your next day.
Yep.
So, and it even changed with top pressure too. It's all feel.
It is. And you know, we have tire pressures, cold starting tire pressure targets for each of our cars.
Yeah.
But we'll adjust it. Like in El Jefe, I just pulled it up while we're here. We're 28 PSI in the rear and 30 in the front cold.
And what about per corner?
We aren't that fancy. So
it doesn't need to be that fancy. Let me tell you why.
Tell me why. If only we had a segment on our podcast for you to tell us stuff so we could learn.
Tell me why. I would have to say, if you're going to pay attention to one corner of your car and monitor the pressure most closely there, it's going to be the most loaded up tire.
Yep.
So typically it's going to be your right front or your left front. And that's the one to kind of key off of the most, right?
Yep.
Typically on whether you're running counterclockwise or clockwise, mainly on the track. So if you're running, say, clockwise on the track, you're going to be looking at your left front. If you're running counterclockwise, you're going to be looking at your right front.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that's a tire that's going to be taking the most load and is likely to grow the most. So there are times where we might start most of the rest of the car, like they're 30, 33 at the other three corners, but you might start that one at 30 or something like that because it's likely to grow a couple more pounds than the other one. So that's something to kind of keep an eye out so that you don't end up with too much pressure in that one location while everything else is pretty good, because that'll throw off your handling. But if you end up with too much pressure on the most loaded tire, it's not going to make handling fun for the rest of the day. So that's another one, just kind of keep an eye out.
So let's pretend that our listener may not have all the toys or may not have the time or may be in the middle of something.
Plausible, extremely plausible, all those.
Yeah. Exactly. And they're out there on the track. How could they determine if their tire pressure front or back is too high or too low? What would the car feel like?
I'll go.
Okay.
I would say if your car won't turn in, if it's pushing or plowing or you're turning the wheel and you're not getting any rotation, my guess would be that you probably have too much air pressure in the front. So it would be the first guess I would make.
Yeah, I agree with that. Or say you have a rear-wheel drive car and you're plowing to a turn and understeering and the rear seems like it's dragging on you, you might have too low tire pressure in the rear.
Also, that would kind of be the second place I go looking, right? If I need the car to turn better and I've gone and checked out the fronts and they seem like they're in line, next thing I'm going to do, probably going to be spiking those rears with some more pressure just to make it, at least if it's so bad, it's at that point, all I want to do is at least put enough pressure in the rear to make it pogo its way around and help me bring the car around. That's kind of where I'm at that point, with the macro type of adjustment.
So, all right. This is kind of a rewind on this whole conversation. It's actually going back to the basics. And it is. It's kind of a rewind.
What was that, Bill?
That was the best rewind ever, by the way. I want to make a music note out of that, and we need a GIF made from that. But besides that, all right. So after running multiple karting tracks over the past quite a few years, it's very interesting. The younger generation coming into karting and those that are taking jobs right out of high school or whatnot, teach them the fundamentals of racing really starts there. And it amazes me in karting facilities around that they don't get just the basics done. What are the only 4 points that are keeping you attached to the actual earth when you're karting?
Our
Anyone know?
cars usually have more than 4 touching.
Oh, say it again.
It's only 4 points that touch the earth when you're
Oh, you're
racing.
4 tires.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not
Yep.
not in
No.
our cars.
Let it go.
Hold my beer. Watch
Yep.
this.
Okay.
No, but honestly, like, and this is what goes into the tire pressure thing. You have 4 contact points, and that's all you have. That's the only thing that's keeping you from accelerating, from braking, from turning, from pulling any G's or anything like that. And when you go into karting facilities, one of the most overlooked things is tire pressure, which is the basis of what this whole conversation right now has been about. And just trying to understand that, it makes the biggest difference in the handling of cars. It's very understated. It really is.
Yeah, you know, I've
I never
been to
get
those kind
around
of
to it.
consumer car.
But you have
what,
to.
checking your tire pressure?
I never get
You
around to
have
it.
to.
What?
I know. Tell me about
By
it.
the way, she can go ahead and take a.
Well, seriously, I'm not trained in knowing enough about the tire pressures.
But you can
Well, you
take a
have-
the
broken.
lack of the information that I have.
But you can take a
You have,
broken.
you have
bolt
my
out of
cell
an
phone
engine.
number.
Yes, I
Yeah,
can take a
exactly,
broken bolt out of an
exactly.
engine now.
She
Well,
can
we
run a
can't do tire
helicoil.
pressures.
Yeah.
Perhaps we need more morning people on our racing team.
Mm. You have
I'm
my
not a
cell
morning
phone number.
person,
Just
but
call
give
me
me
from the
coffee.
track. Yeah, sure. Anything. Call me at 6 in the morning. I'll wake up and answer your tire pressure questions.
I'm going to
Like, hey,
hold you
Ben,
to
I'm
that.
Yeah,
I'm
just
holding you to
call
that.
me- Call me
When
up.
you-
I will talk
When
to
you
you
get
about
that
tire
Facebook
pressure.
message from me at 6 in the morning, when I'm
Yep,
completely
there.
hammered, been like, "Hey, we're
Mhm.
going out."
Yep,
That's
I'm there. I'm there for that.
1-800-234.
No, it's 8675-309. We all know
Right.
that's the number.
No.
Yep.
Mhm.
And we know how to call that number. It's been in the public psyche for a long time. But yeah,
Yes.
Mixter,
Area
we
code
gotta be
203.
that's right. We gotta be checking the tire pressures because that's the
Yeah.
biggest baseline. Because it dawned on me, Alex, when you said that about the carts. I've been
Yeah.
to so many of those, indoor consumer cart places where you're like, oh, this one was great last time I was here. Now it's terrible. It never even dawned on me to think about, like, do these teenagers working there like ever check the tire pressures? Probably not. So like the one you thought was great last time you were there, it may have been the ones that had the tire pressure checked that week or something.
Then you ever find yourself up in Connecticut, come with me. We'll go up to Wallingford, Connecticut. There's a karting
I'm
track
down.
that I've been going to for years. It's one of the few facilities that I actually hold prestige to themselves. We'll have
That's
fun.
cool. Yeah.
And we can hurt a few people's feelings, maybe break a few people's hearts. It'll be beautiful. We'll laugh, we'll cry. We're golden. We'll bring
That
Vicky and
sounds
Bill
awesome,
with us.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
by the way, we're also going to bring Mia with us too, because we need to start training her because she's fatigued interest of racing.
She has.
Yeah, Mia's the next member of she's the next member of the team, right?
She
Yes,
is. She is pretty
Yeah.
good on a go-kart already. So we don't need to start.
Awesome.
We just need to finish. All right. So tire pressures, Vicky. Perhaps we should do a little bit more on that next time we go to the track.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Did we talk enough about what kind of the criteria for what you're trying to make your goal? Does that make sense?
You
It's
know
kind of-
what? No, actually, you did not. I need to talk to this Andy Hollis guy online.
Been
I
trying.
need to do
Yeah.
a search. So that's where my starting point is for my car next on the
I bet.
particular
It's-
day.
It's not bad. I mean, I also seasoned racer, salty jerk Ben Dawson. I will go to TireRack.com and look at what their test notes are about a tire. I mean, it seems kind of dorky as hell, but I'll go do that. I'll try to aggregate any information I can about whatever the tire I'm trying to run is. So I'll go to the dorkiest sources to the jankiest sources and just try to grab some consensus about what it seems like a reasonable goal. But then you show up at the track and you start working the tire and see if you can get it to that goal, and if it feels good there, may not, but that's often gives you a good starting point if you have a good reference point for what your hot
Right.
pressures are. That's just like a weird alchemy of internet BS and legit sources like Tire Rack.
Mm-hmm.
And we have made several attempts at finding Mr. Hollis. We have yet to be successful. We will keep trying. We're too dumb to give up.
Trying to get them on.
Yeah,
That'd
we'll
be
get him.
great.
We'll
I'd
get
show
him.
up for that one.
He's one of our bucket guys that we've started with. So we'll get him someday. Yes, sir.
Andy Hollis is part of my top 25 motorsports legends I want to meet.
Yeah, I met him at an autocross one time. Super nice guy. I knew who he was. I was just like, I'm not trying to geek out, but I just had to go say hello. He's a really nice.
No, I would totally geek out. I would geek out at him and like Dave Coleman and like even Vicky and Bill witnessed me geek out to Randy Popes at Charlotte Roval.
Yes, we did.
Car killer.
Yeah. I geeked out to him. Totally geeked out to him. Now,
he's signed two of my helmets.
See, now if I can go ahead and find Peter Cunningham, Pierre Klein-Newbig, Michael Ghilotti, Hugh and Matt Plum.
Tire pressure.
Me and
Tire
Alex
pressure.
are soul brothers. It's no more tire pressure talk. We are soul brothers in race car fandom.
Right.
I just found a guy who loves all the same stuff I love.
So you remember the Speed Vision World Challenge, don't you?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes!
Ghilotti used to tear it up. That was my favorite stuff to watch. It was crazy.
Did Race Bar just
so
show
good.
up or something? Race Bar? Hello?
No. I'm good. But yes, I have found kinship.
Yep. Oh, totally. But Bill, by the way, you know what I do. I hijack things.
I am well aware.
Yeah.
Our 3-hour dominating with Dawson on one question is still.
We have soul brothers. That's
fun.
Good. All right.
All right. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks,
Thank you for
Ben.
having me.
We're gonna have a few drinks together. We're racing.
As Bill runs away from this. Anyway.